Not only did the Brooklyn Nets get their second win of the season last night, but it was a dominant one. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Brooklyn Boys Show. I am your host, Josh Woolever. Thank you for taking time out of your Monday evening to be with us right here on the channel. Smash that like button, hit subscribe. Those are the two best ways to support the growth of this channel. If you're listening live, get questions, get thoughts, get chats, throw them right there in the chat for us to react to. More importantly, like button, subscribe button. YouTube tells us a majority of you guys who listen have not hit that subscribe button. So if you could, take a couple seconds out of your day, drop down right below this video, hit that subscribe button, completely free to you, but helps us so much. We're 8 away from 500 subscribers. We've plateaued. Let's get there right now. Appreciate you all tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe, and then questions, comments, thoughts. Those can go over in the chat. Hope everyone is doing well on a Victory Monday for the Brooklyn Nets. Man, where do you start with this team? Because I said it on my immediate post-game reaction over on the Instagram. When you see guys like E.J. Liddell in the game and Tyson Etienne in the game, it usually means the Brooklyn Nets are losing by 30 points. Last night it meant they were winning by 25 in what felt like an alternate reality. The Brooklyn Nets give us a glimpse into the future, albeit they beat a terrible Washington Wizards basketball team, a dysfunctional organization down there in the DC area. A win any way you get it this season for the Brooklyn Nets is going to come across as a positive one, and it should be received that way by this fan base. That's where I have to start. If you are a pro tanker and you're sitting on your couch rooting for the Nets to lose last night, I don't know how to say this to you respectfully, but grow up, because to sit there and watch your team win and be frustrated about it, like a lot of people on Nets Twitter were, it's just, frankly, I don't know why you're a fan of the team. I get it. You want the better pick in the future, but the NBA has it so that the bottom 3 teams with the worst records in the league all have equal shots at the number 1 pick. So you cannot seriously sit here and tell me to root for a loss on November 16th in order to be playing the draft lottery numbers game. I get it. You're refreshing Tankathon every single night, trying to sim the lottery, see where the Nets end up. Grow up. This team is not going to win very many games, so when good games come around, you better be ready for them. There are few and far between well-executed games by this Brooklyn Nets team, but a dominant 129-106 win is unheard of. So don't tell me you want this team to lose. You don't. All right? You may want to pick. That's one thing. But I'll tell you what. The Brooklyn Nets are getting the top odds at a pick no matter which approach they take. Whether that is selling at the deadline, whether that is already constructing the worst roster in the league and having the worst GM in the league, this team is going to be terrible anyways. So root for some wins. That's where I'm at on this. Let's go to the positives and ignore the haters. This Brooklyn Nets team finally did it. They finally did it. They won all 4 freaking quarters. It took them 13 games to figure out how to do so. And it took them to play the worst basketball team in all of the NBA in a contest where both teams entered 1-11. Somebody was going to double their win total. They won all 4 quarters of basketball. Whether it was the starters, whether it was the bench, they fused together as a cohesive unit. Playing off each other, playing with each other, meshing. That looked like a competent basketball team. There we go. Some strides in the right direction, ladies and gentlemen. Some strides in the correct direction. And that is not, for my pro tankers out there, the losing direction. Man, Michael Porter Jr., 34 points, 34 minutes, firing this team up, leading them on their way to the win. He was the all-star of this game for Brooklyn. How about lower down there? I gave him, man, a lot of shit for the way he played a couple nights ago, but Tyrese Martin came in off the bench and he showed out. Gotta give credit where credit's due. I call it like I see it. Martin has been terrible at times this season, and he was one of the big reasons the Nets blew their lead a couple nights ago. But he turns around and puts in 20 points on 8 of 12 from the field. And when you look at that, the guy realizes he doesn't just have to shoot threes all day. There you go. Tyrese Martin figuring out there's other components to the game of basketball. He got down low. 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. Not terrible for him. But the 8 of 12 from the field, 5 of 6 from 2-point range is what you have to highlight out of Tyrese Martin. He was the main contributor off the bench. Nick Claxton, almost a triple-double. So was MPJ. MPJ had 34, 9, and 7. Claxton was oh so close. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. If you give him more than 30 minutes, he probably reaches that mark. The only reason he doesn't is because they got everybody in this game. You look down the bench, nobody with a coach's DNP sticker next to their name. So realistically, you get Claxton 35 minutes. He has more than a triple-double. But you didn't need to do it in this game. Get Day'Ron Sharpe a couple of easy minutes coming off of his injury. Want to make sure that goes well. He was in there for 16. And then also, at the other end of things, you have Noah Clowney, who has earned himself into a starting role. 12 points, 4 of 6, all from deep. Man, he really has learned to start to love that aspect of his game. 0 for 4 from the free throw line certainly concerns you, but the other two, Claxton 7 of 9 from the free throw line, certainly a promising sign from a guy who is returning to his 2022-2023 form. I spoke about this a lot. I was on the record in the offseason saying Nets fans, as terrible as he was last year and as bad as the contract looked, give him a chance to clean it up this year, and that he did. Able to look like he could be a very, very solid trade piece at that deadline, and this game shows you exactly why. He hammers home that point. Couple shy of a triple-double, but man, only encouraging things. And Nick Claxton, he's been able to stay on the court, fully healthy, and he looks, quite frankly, as good as he ever has. I can't really remember a stretch from Nick Claxton that he turned in quite like this one. So Nick Claxton is certainly trending upwards, and you've seen that from the Nets fan base. Everything is starting to look a little bit better for him. And knowing this Nets team, that might mean he's gone at the deadline. That might mean he stays around for a little bit, because we know Sean Marks is very protective of a guy like Claxton. But at the end of the day, positive signs from a guy you dished out 4 years, $100 million to is never going to be bad, no matter which way you look at it, no matter what his future with the team entails. Smash the like button, hit subscribe if you're tuning in with us live. You can get questions, comments, thoughts. Throw those over in the chat. We continue to keep it rolling right here on the show, reacting to the Nets' second win of the season, both of them on the road over the Washington Wizards. 23-point blowout. That might actually be the Nets' largest margin of error this season. But something I wanted to key in on for a minute or two here is the bench. Good friend of the show, Eric Slater of ClutchPoints.com, beat reporter for the Nets. He was actually the first guest to ever come on the show. Hoping to have him back on soon. Wrote an awesome article earlier this afternoon about what Jordi Fernandez's key is in success to following up the win in Washington. And I want to pull up a quote that he had here. By the way, if you haven't checked him out, host of Locked On Nets, great writer over at Clutch Points. Check him out if you haven't done so yet. 85-84 was the score. 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Nets only up one. They turn around and go on a 15-2 run to pull away and eventually cement it in the later stages of the fourth quarter. But that chunk of 3 to 5 minutes, 15-2 run is so key. And there's a couple of juicy quotes here from Jordi Fernandez that I want to dive into. So I'll read this, dive into everything that it means. This is all quotes from Jordi in his post-game presser. Quote, "We didn't lose a single quarter," and that's what I talked about at the beginning. I think in an NBA game that's extremely important. There are moments in the third quarter they made a run, and that group off the bench responded. Head coach Jordi Fernandez said, "You get punched, and then you punch back." And those are the moments where you see the growth, and the group comes together. I think it was everybody who rallied the group together. Noah Clowney had a little bit of a struggle to start the game and then made all those shots. Tyrese Martin was very solid. Winning the last 2 minutes of every quarter is a big key to success in this league. Right now, we put 4 quarters together. It was not perfect at all times, but I'm proud of the group and very proud of the fight. I couldn't have said it better myself, coach. This team was resilient last night, and that's not something we've seen unless it is a fairy tale fourth quarter comeback where they're down an irrational amount and then they try this late game heroics and they always come up short. It's not one of those situations. We certainly have seen our fair share of those situations. Is this not one of those? It can't be one of those. But Coach Fernandez is right. You get punched, you punch back. You get punched, you punch back. I was proud of how this group came together. Tyrese Martin finished the night with a plus 26. And a huge part of that was he was that key contributor for that run. Majority of those guys on the floor at that time coming in off the bench. And that just shows what this team could be. You got to be able to utilize everybody on this roster. And I'll get into that as we continue on here on the show. You got to be able to use every part of the roster and continue to expand roles for the guys who have earned it. Winning the last 2 minutes of every quarter, huge. And as I mentioned, 2 minutes remaining in the third, you go from a 1-point lead on a 15-2 run to make it a 14-point lead in the blink of an eye. Washington stunned, and at that point, they have no chance of coming back in this game. The Nets also finished strong with a great fourth quarter. And overall, this basketball team, we haven't seen it at all this year. Haven't seen it once. Pulls away in a game. Goes big time scoring. Up by 23 points. And for Nets fans, it should have felt like you were in a different universe. You were in a new body. That this was not the same Brooklyn Nets team that we saw a week ago. Getting blown out by Detroit. Getting blown out by Orlando. Uncompetitive in these games. Or not uncompetitive against Orlando, excuse me. But uncompetitive in a lot of other games. Detroit being the bottom line, but you go back to the Philadelphia game. You go back to the Knicks game. It was 4 in a row that the Nets lost, and for good reason. But now, man, these last 3, Toronto, Orlando, Washington, you lost 2 of those. But you have played some gosh darn good basketball in your last 3 games. The latest of which being a blowout win. But you go back, you watch the Orlando game. It's okay. 2.5 minutes at the end of that game wins you the game. You go back to Toronto, you say a little bit of a better closeout job, and you certainly have a chance. Not saying you're winning that game, but you have a chance. And to be that competitive in your last 3 games, after truly looking like the worst basketball team in the league that on paper you probably are, they turn around, they start to play some damn defense. That was a complete afterthought for this team. 105 and 106 points against in their last 2 games. This Nets team can score, even without Cam Thomas. And that might be shocking to some around the league. But Michael Porter Jr. has the keys to this offense, and he's got guys around him who can execute. Nick Claxton is returning to form. We talked about it. He can be a piece on a winning team. Michael Porter Jr. can lead a team in scoring. This Nets team can score. It's a question of whether or not they can defend. And these last 2 games have been a big testament to back up Coach Jordy's case for why he should stick around. Because there have been calls at his job, and we'll respond to a couple of those in a couple of minutes. But you want to see improvement on this team, and you can't sit here and tell me that the last 3 games have not clearly outlined that. To me, they have. And the emphasis, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake, whatever analogy you want to use, that dominant, truly remarkable win against Washington last night. That is the exclamation mark. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, get questions, comments, thoughts in the chat, anything that's basketball. Getting ready to react to those. If you have them, throw them in there. But man, this should tell you all you need to know about what this team can be. Not what they will be. Again, this is a bad Washington team, but take the sample of even the 2 games before that and the last 3 games as a whole. Truly turn this around, and you start saying to yourself, okay, we've got something here. And that's not going to mean winning this year. I don't think anybody thinks that. You are still a terrible basketball team. But it's foundation, it's building blocks, it's how you grow, and this team will become better and hopefully eventually lead to a bright future. Yes, a top-tier pick is going to come along with that. That's great. That's awesome. Can't wait to see who it is. Can't wait to welcome the newest member of the Nets. Hopefully it's Darren Peterson or another one of these guys, but the 2026 class is loaded. They're saying it's one of the best drafts ever. Sean Marks has a true chance to turn this franchise around. And we got an entire all of early 2026 to talk about that, so I don't need to go in depth here. I don't need to start talking about who it is. But he's got a franchise-changing draft ahead of him, probably with his career on the line. Huge asterisks, probably a chance that his career rides on the Nets' success in this draft. And yet we sit here and say the building blocks for which that player inherits the keys to the franchise are being built in front of our eyes. And that's what we need to continue to see. We need to see the development. We need to see guys playing forward. The only bad part about this game is that the young guys got pulled when a lot of people thought it was way too soon. Because the starters were still in there with 3 minutes to play. That is just a fact. The starters, Nick Claxton, MPJ, Terrence Mann, were all in there well into the latter stages of the 4th quarter for Brooklyn. And you go, okay, this team hasn't won a lot of games. Maybe they don't know what to do in a winning situation down the stretch. But you gotta figure out how to get the young guys some run when the game is literally out of hand with 2 minutes to play. You have to figure that out. We saw a dire mistake not playing Drake Powell at the ending of that game in Orlando when the Nets were up 6. And he didn't come into the game for defense. And instead, Tyrese Martin came in and blew the doors off that game. Credit to him for a bounce back. But he did. Big part of why the Nets lost in Orlando on Friday night. But you gotta figure out, at least in a blowout, how to get some of these guys in. That's just a little bit unexpected, and maybe it's because the Nets team doesn't know what to do when they're winning, but that would just be a little bit embarrassing. Bad news out of Nets world today. The Brooklyn Nets announced guard Ben Saraf sustained a left ankle sprain while playing in a Long Island Nets game. G League, Saturday, November 15th. He'll be reevaluated in 10 days. So that's the update in terms of this team's roster. A Ben Saraf injury, which you hate to see, but really, past the first, 6 games of the season, when they started him at point guard, when Yegor wasn't healthy and wasn't available in the lineup, you saw Saraf play. But other than that, he wasn't getting a ton of run at the NBA level. Obviously, you never want your guy to get hurt. That's just going to impede his development down on Long Island and suspend him from, even if they wanted to, bringing him back up to the NBA level. So that sucks, certainly. But now all the more reason to get the young guys involved. You have 2 tough games coming up. You get the Celtics. One of them is an NBA Cup game. You play a home and away versus Boston. Home tomorrow night. And then on the road in Boston Friday night, NBA Cup game. So home and away against the Celtics. And obviously no Tatum for them. They're 7-7. They're 500. They're not a terrible basketball team, no Tatum. They're not what people thought in the offseason, where they would be all in on AJ Debinsta, then right back to contending after a full-on tank. But some of those guys, Derek White, has not stepped up into the role that the Celtics were hoping in the absence of Jason Tatum. So you get a good defender in there. You get Powell in there. You get this Nets team to be physical. They could certainly have a chance. And you have 2 upcoming against Boston. I'd like to see them stay relevant in both games. A win in one of those would be awesome. Because Brooklyn has 2 wins. Great. One of them a blowout last night. But to the 2 worst teams in basketball, not named the Nets, and the injury-riddled Pacers, and the colossal collapsing Washington Wizards. So you don't exactly have a hot resume so far. And Nets have yet to prove that they can hang with, they can go punch for punch. They can truly stay in a tough game with a contending team, with a team getting ready to make a push. Smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Get questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. 8 away from 500. That's where we're at. Let's try and get there by the end of this week. We are so close. If you watch our videos, hit subscribe. Helps us so much right here on the channel. You don't even know it. It's free. Takes 5 seconds. You'll forget about it in a couple of hours. But we certainly will not. Your subscription goes a very, very long way. Again, 100% free. We're so close to 500 subscribers. Once we get there, that means full monetization. That means more, better, all year round content. Everything surrounding the Brooklyn Nets coming your way. When Connor and I built this channel 9 months ago, no, less, 7 months ago, we would have never thought it grew this fast, but it's all thanks to you guys. The help that you have given us. We're asking for your help right now to just get an inch further. We've gone a mile. All we need to do now is get a couple more feet, and we are at that 500 subscriber mark. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We can't say it enough. If you like our content, first of all, we really appreciate it. But second of all, the best way to show that is by clicking like, clicking subscribe, tuning into every video that comes across your feed, hitting notifications, sharing with friends and family to get them in on the word, on the work we are doing here. So as always, it goes a very long way. We'll begin to wrap up here on the show unless we have any final questions, comments, or thoughts. The Brooklyn Nets manhandle the Washington Wizards 129-106 was the final. Beautiful, 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 absolute cinema is how I describe that one. We'll come back to you guys with a post-game quick recap tomorrow night after the Celtics game. Look, if you haven't done so yet, get on your phone, go to the Brooklyn Boys on Instagram. That's where we're doing pre, post, and halftime reports on every single Nets game. So that's the place you want to be for minute, live, up-to-date Nets coverage. We're growing that. That thing's also growing exponentially. So hit that up if you haven't done so yet, and we appreciate you. All of you guys tuning in here, all of you guys tuning in there. So we'll have post-game for you here. We'll come back with your video Wednesday, preview another one against the Celtics on Thursday, and then we're talking NBA Cup action. Yes, the Nets are 0-2 there, but still some positives can be drawn. Back-to-back against Boston coming up after the Nets. Woo! Beat the Wizards, and they improved to 2-11. But man, we are still feeling good. Good as we ever will this season. I'm Josh Wolliver for the Brooklyn Boys Show. Signing off, saying, have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Click like and click subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Stay safe, everybody. Sleep well. It is a Victory Monday in Brooklyn. Have a great night, everybody. And as always, let's go Nets, baby. Catch you on the next one, folks. Peace out.